Of course, you're supporting everybody because you're all here. We're going to go ahead and get started because it's 6 o'clock on the dot. Welcome to our very first concert of the year. Actually, I'm pretty sure this is the first live beginning concert in 2 years. Yes, Miss Walliser has not had a live concert actually since she's been here, so we are very excited. As you can see, we've done our best to space everybody out as much as possible, but clearly it's really not a lot. So as our school rules are, if you can keep your mask on over your nose, we don't want to be like Ramsey Middle School and go virtual. That is not in our agenda. So if we can please do that. Tonight we are, I'm Mrs. Watson, by the way. I do strings, and this is Miss Walliser. She does band. We are going to go back and forth. Oh, you know what? I've got programs on my desk. That's so, you don't need a program, right? You'll recognize all these songs, trust me. All right, so we're going to start with strings, and the first song we are going to play is Good King Wenceslas, and you will have the great joy of seeing every section of the orchestra perform. Now I do have, for my string parents, there's a few things I need you to do. I need you to watch your child carefully and make sure they're staying with me. We have a problem staying together. I know that's shocking. But watch your child carefully and let's see how they do.
Band has put together a little bit of a presentation for you all. First, we're going to present a little bit on the science of the sounds of each instrument, followed by a bit of the history of each instrument.
Sound is vibrations. Without something moving, there would be no sound. On the string instruments, the vibration of the string creates a sound, and the body of the instrument amplifies that sound. If you've ever played with a rubber band stretched out, it's the same idea. Band has a variety of different ways to create sound through vibrations.
First, the flutes use their air streams against the edge of the hole in their head joint. The air splits through and is sent vibrating through the flute. It's a lot like blowing across the top of a bottle to make sound.
The clarinets and saxophones use a reed. When they blow a thin and focused stream of air between the reed and the top of the mouthpiece, that reed vibrates, creating the sound that is determined by the shape and size of the instrument.
Brass instruments all operate the same way in embouchure. It's all about that mouthpiece and how the lips buzz on it. Brass instruments are able to play multiple notes using the same finger pattern or slide position, so controlling the pitch they're on becomes their biggest challenge as it's very internal. The difference between these pitches are called partials. For lower partials, the instrument needs to vibrate slower, so the lips need to be further apart or looser. To get a higher partial, the lips needs to be the instrument needs to vibrate faster, so the lips need to be closer together or pulled tighter. It's a lot like the stretching of a rubber band. If you pluck the rubber band when it's looser, it will produce a lower pitch. But if you stretch that rubber band tighter, it will produce a higher pitch.
Percussion creates sound just like a clock creates a sound. Striking something sets it in motion or makes it vibrate. Therefore, it creates sound. The sound produced depends on the size and shape of what is struck. The bass drum makes a lower sound due to its large size, whereas the snare makes a higher sound because it's smaller. Percussion is not only responsible for keeping strict rhythm, but they also must read pitch notation as well when they play on something called mallet instruments or keyboard percussion. The larger the bar, the lower the pitch.
And now a bit about the history.
Now we'd like to introduce the different instrument families and a little bit about each section. First, we have the woodwinds, which include the flute, clarinet, and saxophone. You may be wondering what's so wood about these instruments. The flute, as you can see, is not made of wood and does not even use a wooden reed to create sound. But the flutes used to be constructed from wood. Actually, some of the earliest known flutes were found in this very region, the Swabian region, and date back about 43,000 years. The oldest flutes were actually made out of animal bones. A Bavarian man by the name of Bohem made the first metal flute in the mid-1800s. The flute is still considered a woodwind today due to its history.
The clarinet used to be and still is made from wood, but today the clarinet can also be made from plastic and metal. The clarinet came from an instrument much like a recorder, but had the clarinet-style mouthpiece which uses a reed. Many keys and more tone holes have been added to the clarinet to get better pitch and tone over the years.
The saxophone is one of the youngest instruments here. It wasn't invented until the mid-1800s. The saxophone was invented by a Belgian man named Adolphe Sax, who was not satisfied with the balance between the brass and the woodwinds and wanted to bridge the gap of tones a bit better. He actually invented a huge range of saxophones that played the lowest of the low pitches and the highest of the high pitches.
The most popular saxophone is my favorite sounding instrument, the alto saxophone, which is what you see here. You'll also see bigger saxophone called tenor and baritone saxophones that can play lower notes, and the less popular, the soprano saxophone, which looks a lot like a clarinet and plays higher notes. Unfortunately, the saxophone did not gain popularity until the early 1900s, when jazz became the popular style. So more often than not, a saxophone will not be included in a large orchestra work, but are featured heavily in jazz repertoires. Luckily today, almost all band music includes the saxophone and gives the instrument the respect it deserves.
Let's hear it for Woodman family on Hot Cross Bun. 1, 2, 3.
Now let's talk about the brass family, which are represented here by trumpets, French horn, and trombones. All brass instruments stem from the bugle, a valve plus simple horn, which could play all of our known pitches, but just a range of partials available to its size. Like playing any of these brass instruments without using valves or slide positions. Our instruments are often called horns because they originally were just horns that were hollowed out and blown into. Bugles didn't need all the pitches though, as they weren't really for music, but rather a signal for military ceremonies or royal processions.
Through the years, valves and slides were placed on these instruments in order to change the size of the tubing, which enables a different series of partials to be played through, allowing for many pitches. If you look at the brass instruments, they are all similar with a brass tube that twists around and flares out at the end. The size differences and the shape differences allow for more ranges, and the winding of the tubes allow for more manageable holding positions.
Let's hear it for the Grass family on hot cross buns. 1, 2, 3.
Unlike the saxophone, drums have probably been around since humans could hear. Mammoth drums from over 70,000 years ago have been found to be used as idiophons, like our modern-day xylophone. Membranous drums, such as the bass or snare drum, may not be as old but significantly older than any of our modern wind instruments. The oldest used to be made out of hollowing out boards and placing some sort of membrane over the top such as animal skins.
Let's hear it for the percussion family on top cross buns. 1, 2, 3.
Now that you have heard hot cross buns in just about every timbre, we have one more surprising way to play it for you. We have learned how to take a major song that gives us that typical, happy, joyful sound and make it more appropriate for the harvest season, when the crops meet their reaper and the trees explode into their beautiful colors that signal the coming of winter. Please enjoy the full band playing hot cross buns one last time with a minor difference.
So the next piece the strings are going to play is called Dreidel, but of course I love your involvement, so you have another task. So in your life, have you ever heard the saying, silence is golden? Yeah? Okay, well in music it is definitely golden when we see this little squiggly line that says, to be quiet. In strings class, we have a little bit of a challenge when we're supposed to rest. We love to just pretend they don't exist. And I tried to explain it in car terminology. The stop sign is there for a reason, and if your parents run it, that is definitely a problem. And so we have come up with a way to be able to make sure that we rest. So the first time, we are going to do pizzicato, and we're going to show you what we do to rest. And the second time, we're going to do it the way if the song is intended.
Okay, so now I'm done having my students do my job for me. Thank you, Samaya and Gabe, for conducting for me. This next one is Lightly Row. So this one is special. It has two parts. So we have I better use my notes, I'm really bad off paper. Okay, so you'll hear a harmony part, which will make the song a lot more full. So we're gonna repeat this one 4 times. The first time the students play one part, either the melody or the harmony, and then the next time they're gonna switch parts. So the first time you hear this repeat, it's gonna be nice, smooth sailing, lightly row, yay. And then the second time, the storm's gonna come and rock the boat a little bit.
So what every string player in the world has to learn a fiddle tune, right? So this is the very first fiddle tune every string player will learn. Violin, cabbage, down.
I trained my students well, so I keep going even despite my own mistakes. I train my conductors better than I can do. All right, this next one, our final piece. Actually, we're just going to start it, and then we're going to do our little special. Okay, so you've just heard Go Tell Aunt Rhody in the way that it's traditionally performed. So it's quite a happy little tune, but I'd like to read the lyrics of the poem for you. We all got kind of a kick out of this. So the lyrics go, go tell Aunt Rhody, go tell Aunt Rhody, go tell Aunt Rhody that the old gray goose is dead. I think we've all heard that part, that much so far. Okay. The one she's been saving to make a feather bed. The old gander's weeping because his wife is dead. The goslings are mourning because their mother's dead. She died in the mill pond standing on her head. Go tell Aunt Rhody that the old gray goose is dead. The poem is a little darker than the tune implies, right? So, we're gonna play it in a little bit better of a mood that fits the lyrics.
As a rite of passage for every string player in the world, we have a man to thank. His last name is Suzuki. And early in the 70s, he's actually the man who allows us to do group lessons. Before this time, if you were filthy rich and you could afford the instrument, then your child could do lessons. The Suzuki made it possible for us to do groups, and that's how he taught. So, as a rite of passage, we all need to learn our Twinkle Variations. So we are going to show you, again, sorry parents, you have to draw, check your posture on your child, and you can let them know afterwards. They're supposed to look absolutely amazing. They're going to stand, except for the cellos, but they're going to stand and demonstrate their posture, but then we're going to go through the Twinkle Variations. There are 5, I believe, of them. So, here we go. Thank you for coming out and celebrating our very first concert of this year. The students are going to put their instruments away first because we don't want anything bad to happen to them. And then we are asking for help to get their chairs and stands back into the other building. So the chairs on the string side need to go to room 309, 310, which